Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name's Fran. In this channel, I share knowledge and practical techniques on trauma healing and everything about mental health. So today I wanted to talk about one topic that's particularly interesting to me because I have spent years in looking for the answer. That is, why do we obsess to become the chosen one, to be chosen by people, and how to heal in order to move on in our lives. So let's jump right into it. A lot of us could get stuck in the mental loop thinking about someone, like obsessively, in a way that it doesn't really make sense because maybe consciously we know that this person might not be that great, even though that we know that this relationship has been long over maybe a couple of months, maybe even years. But we just have this amazing ability to distort reality in a way that we still keep connection in our head with this person. We're still thinking about them. Maybe one day they want to come back. We're still obsessed about how our relationship is working. Like maybe they love us. Maybe one day they will figure out that we are the love of their lives and they wanted to choose us and they are going to come back to us. And maybe they're going to admit to us that they made a mistake and we are the love of their lives. So we seem to have this fantasies or ruminations going on and on and on in our head, and we just have all sorts of dialogues with this person. Maybe it's about something that already happened in the past, or maybe some fantasies that we want it to happen. Neither way, we're not grounded in reality. And the reality is this person maybe is not right for us and this relationship just doesn't work. For one moment, we might accept that, well, it's not gonna work. But next moment, we're just involuntarily going to this obsessive state, thinking about them, creating stories, creating dialogues, or imagine like all sorts of encounters in supermarkets, on the street, somewhere else, you know. So we just kind of trap ourselves in our head in a state that we don't even find ourselves being normal anymore. We may even label ourselves of being obsessive and being crazy. Our friends or families, they might not get it at all, and they get tired of hearing our stories over and over again, and they just try to give us harsh love by criticizing us, by slamming the reality on our face, telling us you need to deal with it, you need to accept that it's over. No matter how hard reality seems to hit our face, we always find a way to just avoid reality and get into our head with those unreal scenarios and with those like what if. And we seem to have this obsessive thought that we wanted to be chosen by this person, like we wanted to be important to them. We wanted to make them realize that we are the one for them. We're important, we're good, we are valuable, we are lovable, and we're deserving to this specific person. It doesn't really matter to us like what other people think, but we just need this person, like specifically this person. Like they determine our value, they determine like if we are worthy of existing in the world at all. So a lot of us, we know that it doesn't make sense because why does it have to be this person, this particular person, not other people who are, maybe they can see our merits more, who value us more. So I'm just gonna go ahead and give you the answer, which is because we have not been chosen, being standing behind firmly by our parents, by our caregivers. We have not had this positive experience of being chosen, of being valuable, of being important, of being unconditionally accepted, loved, cared for, nurtured by our parents when we're children. That's why we kept in attempts to create the same scenario where we are being chosen, where we are being valuable and important, instead of being ignored, neglected, tossed around, abandoned, or abused. We're projecting this unmet needs onto this person, which was supposed to be met by our caregivers at a young age. That's why we have this residual, this unbearing and overwhelming love hunger towards this specific person that we thought, that we used by our brain as a symbol that stands for love, nurturance, and engagement and care and attention that we didn't get. To further illustrate why we obsessively wanted to be chosen and be important to this specific person, I'm gonna use a personal example of mine so that you can understand. So after my mom passed away when I was 7 years old, I lived with my dad for a year, but that year he wasn't around. He was just fucking around, getting hookers and outside. And I was just being at home by myself. And my uncle, who loved my mom dearly because he was her brother, and he wanted to take care of me. My dad, he just so easily gave up my custody to my uncle because the condition was that my uncle gave him a car. He just gave up on me like so easily that he even showed his car off in front of his friends and telling them, well, I got this car because of my daughter, because I gave her away. And he was just saying it so proudly. And of course, that experience still broke my heart because all those years I felt like, of course, like I'm just that easy to be given up on. Like you never once wanted to choose to stand behind me whenever there's hardship. Whenever I need someone to protect me, you wouldn't ever be there because I'm just not important to you. I'm just some kind of trash that you can just easily toss around. So the awakening moment was in my therapy session. I was being obsessive about like, well, I wanted this relationship to be alive again. I wanted to keep in touch with this guy who just dumped me and stuff like that. And my therapist, she just calmly told me that you're seeking things from the wrong people. And I was like, you know, he's not wrong. He's just not mature and he can change. And I was gonna throw all that. And she continued, she was like, you're seeking the unconditional love, support, and care that was supposed to be provided by your parents from the wrong people because they can never meet your needs. They are not your parents. And she said, think about it and really internalize this message. And that's something that really struck me. The next morning I woke up in the bed and I stayed there for a couple of hours. I didn't say anything, I didn't do anything. I didn't have the urge to get up and make changes in my life anymore. Thinking about maybe I can improve myself so that they can come back to me. Maybe I can change so that they can find me attractive again and they can come back to me. And I just didn't want to do any of that again. And I realized at that moment, I just need to accept that, well, it's not about them being the right one or being the wrong one. It's about I'm seeking something that's never going to be met by them. That's unfair. And the only people who gave to me were my parents. And I'm just never going to have it in this life. In this life, it's not gonna happen. And I wasn't lucky enough to have my parents to give all that to me, to meet my needs. And I just need to accept and grieve and move on in my life. So after that moment, I started to experience a profound sense of calmness and a deep serenity. And what comes with that is this deep compassion for myself and this openness for life. And I just suddenly lost the urge to get in touch with one specific person. And I just couldn't really deny anymore the fact that what I need is to be responsible, to accept all that and grieve so that I can heal myself. After that day, I entered the grief process. Like I cried for days and days because I really wanted to just deal with it by myself. I don't want to use further distractions of being obsessive about someone, you know, of being in fantasies, of being like trying to connecting with them to avoid my own healing. I just decided I don't need that crap anymore. So I wanted to focus on myself and I wanted to really get this over with, just to really put an end to the past stories. I think I did two things that really helped me to move on. The first is that in therapy sessions, I constantly talk to her about those experiences, I didn't intentionally use them to make me cry, but those memories just float up naturally. And every memory comes with this deep sadness that I wasn't able to release ever for almost 20 years. So I let myself cry. I let myself break down. In that period, I gave myself that time for healing. What's important is that I did this in a therapeutic relationship, meaning that I had my therapist to listen to me, to witness my crying, to witness my sadness, to witness those intense emotions that I was too scared to go over by myself. So if you're doing this grief process, I think it'd be really helpful if you find a trustworthy friend, some non-judgmental, compassionate friend, or a professional, some family members that are really trustworthy and really loving. It's essential because those intense emotions may have been buried down, like really deep inside of you. And when they float up, when you don't have enough inner strength, or you don't have this emotional regulation skills, which a lot of traumatized people lack, it might overwhelm you again. It might re-traumatize you. That's why when we're working on the grief process, when we're mourning the losses, when we're mourning the relationships that we never had, when we're mourning the loneliness that we went through all along, when we're mourning the sadness of being different, of being broken, of feeling helpless and hopeless all those years, of feeling inadequate, defective all those years, mourning the lost times that we were supposed to have a good childhood, but we went through shit, we went through hell, just barely survive another day. And that's really painful, and that's just hard to get through by ourselves. We need someone. We need to have a strengthened relationship for us to endure it, to endure through the storms. That's why we need to be in relationship to heal grief, because they can serve as a container for our intense emotions that are too overwhelming for us to go through by ourselves. Another thing I did was to write a letter to my mom and dad. I list out all the good memories and bad memories I have towards them. I did not exclude the good ones because it serves as a buffer, as a pendulation purpose. I remember one thing I did was to write down the time when I got woken up by my mom because I was having a fever, and she gave me medicine, and she was just really caring and attentive towards me. And I remember how gentle she was that night. And every time I remember this, it gives me some kind of warmth. It gives me some kind of comfort in a way that even though I'm never going to have it ever again, but I did have it. I'm not this unwanted child. So I write out everything I remember about them, the good ones, the bad ones, to serve as a closure, just to put an end to it, to put an end to the trauma that I still identify with. The key step to heal is to really know that whatever happened is in the past. There's a beginning, there's a middle, there's an end to that incident, to that trauma event. We have to be detached from that story. We have to know that it already ended so that we can stop wrapping ourselves around of the negative perception of that event towards ourselves. Writing this letter can be a ritual for us to know that, well, whatever happened already happened and it's in the past. We have a future that's blank, that's waiting for us to fill in stories, that's waiting for us to create, so that we can actually collect some personal agency and some personal strength from this grief process to know that, well, maybe now it's time for me to move on, to stop identifying myself with this victim identity. One question that I had in mind when I was grieving was that, well, I'm grieving and I did grieve for what I lost, but am I ever going to get it ever again? I still have this remaining question on my mind. The truth is just unbearable. It's hard to really accept that maybe we already missed the opportunity to be a child again, to be raised with love and care. maybe we're never going to get it in this life. And it's really painful to face the fact that, and this is my fate, why do I have to go through those things? Why I am the only one going through the painful stuff, while other people, like, they were just born with this family, this loving family that they have. What did they do to deserve that? Why couldn't I be at luck? Sometimes life can be really unfair. Sometimes it's really hard to accept this, and it's really easy for us to lose faith because, well, everything happens for a reason, but what did I do to deserve these bad things? I'm not gonna lie, like, nobody 100% accept the reality, because we all wonder deep down, like, why is this happening to me? Like, what the hell did I do to deserve this? But I guess that's just how life is, you know, things happen. And it doesn't matter how hard we try to fight it, we try to unaccept it, try to reject it, try to deny it. It just happened. We may spend time doing that, but we know, like, nothing we do is gonna change the fact that it happened. So I'm still making efforts to live with the fact that, well, this happened to me and I have to let it go. But it really helped me heal from the wounds that I was identified with, because I don't see myself as broken anymore. I see myself as having bad luck when I was a kid. And I'm doing amends. I'm taking the responsibility to take care of myself, and I just have to deal with whatever life throws at me and put on a brave face and deal with it. Alright everyone, I hope this video is helpful. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up. If you wanted to see more videos like this, please subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.